Hey everybody, welcome back to Lamson Family Farms. My name is Max, and today I am working on cleaning out the goat area. So it is a hot day. We're up to 85 today. So I thought it'd be a good day to do some more inside projects in the barn, and this is a big one that I've been kind of chipping away at. So I'm currently working on mucking out the goat area. So we've done deep bedding for a year now, and I have taken off top layers every now and then and using that material in the cow area when I clean that out. But I have not done a deep clean of the goat area in a year. And that is very intentional, but it needs a good scoop out to get reset for the next year. So the goat area is divided into three sections, and it's mostly based on these pillars behind me. So I'm currently in the first section, which I've already scooped out. I'm currently working on scooping out the second section, and then once I get that done, then I'll work on the last section. And so my plan has been, well, breaking it up into chunks because I'm moving the animals out as I clean up the areas. So this first section is where the boy goats lived last year, and they're currently living in the middle of the barn. And then what I've been doing this last week to get ready to scoop out the second section, which is where I had the little girl goats. So the four doe lanes from this year had been in the middle section, and then the big girls had been in the last section. So right now they're all together. They're doing really good, and they're actually outside right now. So I've got the third section open to the outside, which is where we had the horses last year, but because I just finished the fence, the horses are now out on pasture, so that freed up their old pasture in the back. So now the goats are using it. So right now they're actually out grazing, which is really exciting. It's really nice to see them outside, because if you've been following along even before we started YouTube, the goats were inside for a year. So they had this space inside, they had plenty of room, but they didn't have a field to go in last year because they had the horses back there. So this summer they are outside part of the time, and then they come in at night. So eventually, after I get this all cleaned out, I'm either going to have two sections together and then the small section divided. Excuse me, I haven't really decided yet. It really depends on what happens with the calf. So long term, this whole area will become one big section, and it will be girl goats. I do have the option to still break off smaller sections if I need it, and this year I might need it for the calf and the boy goat, just because I don't have any other small boy goats. And so it's really going to be about what can I put him in to keep him company. I might also just sequester off a little area with a 16-foot cattle panel in the corner, so he'll be by himself but can still see the other goats. It really just depends on what I do with the calf, because she is getting big enough that she might be outgrowing the boy goat more quickly than I thought she was going to. The problem is when she gets really playful, she tends to knock him over, and he's increasingly becoming too small for her. She's just getting bigger really quickly. So I might put her in with the big girl goats. That might be a better size for her. Or depending on the situation, I might put her in with the donkey. I'm just not really sure yet. So right now I've been working on introducing the donkey to the boy goats, and I might put them out together. So they might just become my pack of animals I don't really know what to do with. So I've got the donkey, the two boy goats, and the calf that are just kind of misfits at this point. They might all end up living together. I'm not quite sure yet. So in any case, I'm working on scooping out the second section, and what I'm doing right now is I've got my lawnmower with the cart. I'm filling up the cart with manure, and then I'm taking it out to the garden. So I've got my squash garden right now, which has been doing really great, but I didn't put any mulch or anything on it yet, and so it is getting quite weedy very quickly. And so I'm using this as mulch and putting it between the plants out there, putting it between the squash plants. And since it is so hot, I've mostly just been taking the carts out, dumping them by the garden, but not doing a whole lot with it immediately, and I'll go back when it's cooler and work outside in the garden. It's so hot and humid in the middle of the day. It doesn't make sense to be doing that much outside in full sun when it's 85 degrees, when I could just time that to do it in the mornings or the evenings and spend most of the time inside in the barn taking the carts out. So it's coming along pretty quickly. I think I've done 3 carts and I've already, so you can see it, got this little bit of scooped out area. So that's what I'm working on today. I'm very excited to have this be one big area for the girl goats. Once I get this all scooped out, I'm planning on I've got 2 tables that will become like enrichment for them so they can have places to climb up. But I might make a couple more platforms just so that they kind of have a play set so that they can jump up on and utilize some of the height of this area and not have it be so boring with just bedding. So it'll keep them a little bit more entertained when, like, especially in winter, they are kind of cooped up in here. I am toying around with the idea of doing some sort of a different feeding method for them. I've tried a couple iterations of feeding methods with them. This last one's pretty good, but I still feel like they waste a little bit too much, which is part of the reason why the bedding is so deep in here, is because I never have added bedding. All of this is wasted food that they've wasted over a year. And so it really does add up, like literally for the amount of stuff in here, and also financially it's a lot of wasted money just to have them rummage for the best parts of your hay and then waste the rest. So I feel like I'm always trying to develop a better feeding system for them that is more cost efficient and produces less waste. So here we go. I'm going to put you guys on a time lapse and I'm going to get working on this second section. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about why I ended up using the lawnmower for this project was a couple of reasons. So the first reason was that I have used the wheelbarrow in the past to do cleaning with, and I just exited the barn. And right behind me back there is one of the spots that I have quite a bit of some of the older manure piled up. I've got about a last summer's worth of the cow manure there, and which is now fenced in the cow's outdoor area. So that's as full as I would really like it to get. But I'm putting this manure in my garden, which is past our outbuildings, past the house. And it's quite a distance just for walking a wheelbarrow back and forth. And so I thought I would get too tired doing that. And the other reason is I don't have a tractor yet, but I also have to mow the lawn. So I would have had to mow the lawn anyway. And so what I've been doing is every time I take a load out, I mow one way and then mow back. And so not only am I cleaning out the stalls, I'm also mowing my lawn, which I would have had to do anyway. So it's kind of nice to get a win-win out of it. And honestly, it slows me down. It gives me a little bit of a break in between each cart. The goat saw me. It gives me a little bit of a break between each cart, and it helps me slow down. So I feel like one of the things that I've been thinking about is, I'm sure a lot of people, like, we actually had someone here the other day was like, I bet you sure wish we had a Bobcat right now. And like, yeah, I do eventually want a tractor, and I eventually want a Bobcat. You can see the goats behind me. But I don't have one right now, and that's okay. I've come a long way in a year. I'll have to try to find some of the older photos of how this area looked last year, and it's come a long way. I've made a lot of improvements. And I feel like part of the reason why we moved here was to slow down. And so it's okay that my goal is going to take me a little bit longer than if I had the most ideal equipment. Like, of course it would take me less time if I had better equipment, but I don't, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world, and it's okay if this goal takes me a couple of weeks. I know that I'm not going to complete it in a day. That's not the point. The point is to complete the project. And I feel like we live in a society now where it's like, find the most efficient way to do it quickly, and then move on to the next thing, and move the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. But, you know, just doing it by hand with a lawnmower to cart it back and forth slows me down. and I get to enjoy the barn, and I get to spend some time with the goats as I do it. And I can get my mindset into the idea of this is going to take me a number of weeks, and it's okay. I can slow down. I can enjoy the trips back and forth. I can look at the birds as I go. I can think about things. I don't have to feel rushed. I don't have to feel stressed out about it. That's one of the reasons why we moved here. And I feel like I keep having to remind myself about that. Like, you wanted to slow down. That was one of the goals. Slowing down can be a goal. Taking your time can be a goal. It doesn't always have to be done the most efficient way as quickly as possible. It's better that I finish the project even though I can't do it in the fastest way possible than not doing it at all. So this is okay. Yes, I do want a tractor someday. I have a way to do this now, and I have the time to do it now. And it's not really a big deal at the end of the day. Like, yes, I'm sweaty and I'm hot, and I could be inside relaxing or doing something else, but in this season of my life, this is okay. I wouldn't want to do this every month, but once a year is not bad. So it's okay to slow down and complete your projects and work away at it a little bit at a time. Finishing the project is better than not finishing the project at all. Like, how cool is this? If I was in a tractor, I couldn't watch my goats outside eating in the field that I worked on getting up for over a year. Like, this has been a long-term project for us, a long-term goal. Seeing our own goats that we moved across the country in a pasture that we put up in the barn that we dreamed of is a big deal. And I should be able to take the time and enjoy this moment. Hi, Gogo. Hi, I see you. What are you doing? Hi. You're so cute. I really wish Noni was here. She would have really liked being out in the field in the sunshine. Okay, so you can see some of the mulch that I've already put down. So these rocks are the beginning of the garden and it goes this way. And then this side is the lawn. So this is just where I dumped the cartloads, and I'll work on moving that into the garden. So you can see, especially in the back, the furthest corner is where I started taking the plastic off, and then I went this way. So the weeds on that side are going to be a lot longer or taller than these weeds. So you can see the edge of the garden. This side is all pumpkins. So the weeds are just starting to come in. So I'm going to mulch really heavy here and probably pull up less weeds. But, okay, so it's pumpkins until, I don't know if you can see, there's a corn right there. I've got 2 rows of corn and then a row of cucumbers. These 6 mounds are cantaloupe. And then all of this side is summer squash, some watermelon, and I've got 1 row of bush beans, and then that's it for over here. So especially in the back, you can see that the grass is quite long. And so over there, what I've been doing is I've been pulling up the weeds and putting it around the squash. So hopefully that will help suppress new weeds from wanting to come in. So get away from that sun glare. This row I've already done. So you can see, let's zoom you in. Let's find a good example. So I've pulled up the weeds and I've done squares around the squash. So you can see the squash plant in the middle. Let me go find a bigger one. Okay. So here's a couple good examples. So I've got the pulled up weeds around the squash. And so I'm hoping that will help suppress new weeds from coming in. And I haven't quite decided on these rows where I'm pulling up the weeds if I'm going to put mulch on top of that. I probably will. I don't know how big of mounds I want there to be. All different types. These are G-Star, I believe. There's a little bit of lettuce mix coming up behind it. I've got Benning's Green Tint. I've got Y-Star. I've got gray zucchini. What else do I have? I've got all sorts. I've got patty pans. I've got Benning's, I think I've already said Benning's Green Tint. I've got all sorts. I've got a little bit of, that's arugula that I also planted. So you can see some squash coming in there. And I think I'm getting pretty close to having harvestable squash. I think probably this week.